High vibration, sweet babies. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a different energy from the recording I just did, which was definitely very much grounded in connecting to others, healing through complex trauma that might be causing issues with connecting with others. Nudges from spirit in the right direction regarding letting people in, and the beauty of just people being people instead of trying to pigeonhole people into what we think they're supposed to be, and also allowing ourselves to be liberated from these ideas of what we're supposed to be. This recording, however, is much more a personal message about self-love, accepting yourself, putting some boundaries in place in order to preserve yourself, because I do get the sense, let me scooch my chair back a little bit here. Yeah, back it up a little bit. That's kind of the sense that I'm getting of just put some space between you and some people in your life. If you're getting like even the slightest whiff of like, they sound a little iffy, or if you're not feeling like embraced and celebrated or seen for who you know yourself to like be, or how you really want to show up in the world, put some distance between you and those things. If you are an anxious attachment like myself, that might sound scary, but what is for you will always be for you. And there is something really beautiful about being able to let space and time work its magic on a situation, instead of like being like in the mix, trying to sort it all out and feel as though you're doing something or controlling something, when in reality, no, just it's a hands-off situation. Give some space, distance yourself, because there's two things that are really coming up, and I'm kind of like toggling between which to talk about, and I kind of feel like there's almost two modes where you feel like you're kind of dancing between two feelings at the moment. So I'm kind of also feeling into that too. Like, I'm not sure which to really speak on first. But I'm gonna just talk about okay. Yeah, there's a necessary evil is like what I'm hearing. There's a necessity to protect your energy, protect your, what I've always called your good, like your good, lovin' energy. This could be like the way you think, the kind of energy and exuberance you bring into a room. This could be like a gift that you share. For a lot of people, the voice or the throat center is where this leak might be happening, or where there's a need for clearing to come through, because there is definitely a need to protect this and preserve this, because unfortunately not everyone has your best interest at heart. Not everybody, and it's not because they're bad people, it's just because the way that they have learned to interact in the world, they don't really know anything outside of this, or maybe it's because in their heart they feel like they are deserving or they're just, or maybe that you're not deserving, right? And in the last audio, I talked about how we have different versions of ourselves in everybody's head. And it's not really up to us if somebody decides in their head that we're a bad person, or they're putting a lot of projections onto us. We don't have to do anything about that. We don't have to prove anything. We don't have to fight to make somebody see things a different way. Like, that's just energy that they're consuming and feeding off of. So having this ability to know these types of people in our lives is really important, because it does, to me, feel like there is a leak of some kind. Like information, surveillance, like definitely like consumption is like the huge thing. So that was the first part of it, of like, protect your energy. Someone is casting an evil eye on you, whether it's just like they're projecting, gossiping, spreading rumors, false information. Like, that shit is not fun. It's not pleasant to have that, stirring around. People, can't keep their name out of your mouth. And it just does feel like this gang stalking type of energy, which, if you're sensitive, it can feel extremely overwhelming. If you're somebody who's intuitive and tapped in, like, you may know when someone is talking about you, or putting like bad energy out to you. I remember one time, talk about third party. So I was in a relationship many years ago, and during this break, me and this person were on a break. They entertained somebody that I was not on good terms with. And that was really hurtful. And that was really a betrayal that I needed to work through. So betrayal trauma might be something that is significant or might be relevant to you. Because, oh my gosh, that was like a whole ass thing, a whole ass journey. And I also talked about in the last audio that healing through these pains, these wounds, these triggers is a process of like finding yourself and connecting to yourself, and it's really deep and it's really beautiful. So maybe betrayal is a thing for you. It definitely has been for me, so no shade or shame. But they invited in this third party energy. Now, this was somebody who was not a love and light girly. This was somebody who actually did cast spells on other people, whether it was like through alchemy type of work, or whether it was through just casting negative energy and using negative energy to manipulate situations. Because whether you are somebody who like actually considers themselves a magician, or an alchemist, or a spiritualist, or a witch, or whatever it is, like, and you don't necessarily consider yourself somebody who works with energy or whatever, unfortunately, there are still people who are doing those things, who are witches, who are alchemists, who are, whatever, when they don't even have any knowledge or any awareness of it, because they have the power of chaos on their side. They have the power of negativity on their side. When people give into negative energy throughout their life, usually, I don't believe that anyone's just born bad. I think there's a lot of karmic things that people have to sort through within their family systems, within their lives, whatever. And I think that's pretty much as close as it gets to being born bad. But I think ultimately, even these people who have always really fed into negativity, who maybe use gossip or rumors to cast negative spells about you to other people, creating bad reputation creates a literal spell. And I'm about to talk about all of this in just a second. I see how this is all tying in together now. So, even these people who have all of this kind of inner turmoil, they work with chaos, they feed off negativity. These people are spiritualists. These people are working with and manipulating energy without having an idea of it. And it probably started with that being done to them. Early childhood development is usually how psychic gifts are born. And unfortunately, if you're born into a really tumultuous, chaotic household, or you're born into a life and you have to experience a lot of hardship, there's different ways that people awake to working with energy and manipulating energy. And we can be alchemists and manipulate energy for the highest and greatest good in our hearts and in our minds. But at the end of the day, like, we're still people. We're still working from our egos. We're still working from like our wants and our desires. And if we're not able to heal through our wounds, heal through our triggers and our traumas, come to a place of like grace and understanding, then we are ultimately going to act in selfish accord. We're going to manipulate and work with energy for all the wrong reasons. 333 on the timestamp. 333 might be significant for you. You might need to be tapping into your own intuition and discernment around somebody specific at this time. Whoever you're thinking of at the time of this is important. Yeah, because you know better than anybody, and you'll feel it. The more that you're out of fight or flight and more in your peace and more in your body, then you really feel it. Then you really know. And you'll also know the opposite. You also know people who are aligned with you and who are in your vibration, who are in alignment with the highest and greatest good of all people and all things. Because it really has to come down to you and your discernment. I'm going to get a little personal here. Hopefully what I share, and I'm not going to trauma dump on you, but I'm going to share what I am going through. Maybe it'll resonate with you and have something to give you some insight. But I'm a model. I model full-time pretty much now. And I am getting really uncomfortable with the idea of so many images of me, my face, my body, being out in the world. I know this is what I signed up for. I know I've been doing this for years. I know that I have nothing to be ashamed of. I don't feel regretful or shame around what I've done or the images that I've taken, but I absolutely am feeling tired and drained of my good loving energy, feeling very much like my gifts, what I'm capable of, my like magic is going unseen. So just because I'm a model, just because there's images of me all over the fucking place, does not mean I'm being seen. Does not mean that my inner light, my inner truth is being seen or heard or valued. So instead of being seen right now, I'm very much feeling consumed. People are eating me up. Whatever I create, they are eating it up. I don't want to sound conceited or superficial, I think you've listened to enough recordings right now, 4:44 on the timestamps, to know that that's not who I am. And I know that my character here in this space is absolutely protected and respected. And my spirit guides watch over these audios and these messages to make sure they get to who they need to. So I don't need to preface what I'm about to say, but I am being very much consumed right now for a pretty face, great posing, great charisma, personality, but there is a lot more to me that I am not able to share as easily and readily with the world. Even these audio recordings, I am not sharing them the way that I want to be. Vlogging, like those are the parts of me that I actually want to be sharing. My ass on the internet, can't say that that's something I'm like eager to share. 37 was a significant number for the last audio recording, and it's also showing up again in this one. So I really want to be sharing and creating from a more deep, purposeful place, which means that I need to be a lot more selective around the jobs that I'm taking, the things that I say about myself, and really just what parts of me I want to share, because I think, just as we were talking about, like having the discernment to know who you want to have in your life, there's also a discernment that needs to be, because like if somebody is feeding off of you, this could be for validation. This could be, honestly, you know, I have a hard time really understanding why people feed off of other people. So I couldn't really tell you why it's happening. I don't know why it happens to me. I don't know why it happens to you, but I do know that it happens, and I do know what to do about it, when it happens. But I'm not going to sit here and try to read people's minds or understand why people do the things that they do, especially when it's out of malice. But I will say this, that I do think that people are always acting in search of love, or out of love. So when people are feeding off of you or like draining you or whatever, it is very much not coming from a wholesome place of love and trying to fill you up. It's usually because they are needing something, and unless we have those boundaries in place, they are getting a much sweeter end of the deal than we are. So we need to be able to have that discernment of like, okay, this person is like a vampire. Like they are just sucking the life out of me. Maybe it was fun at first. Maybe it felt good for a couple minutes. Maybe it was like nice to hang out and whatever. But like there's a time limit on that, because after a while you're like, holy moly, I feel sick. Like I am drained. I only went out to do this today with them and I am so tired. Like those types of things. That's obviously when we need to have that discernment about who we're spending time with in our lives. But then there's also a discernment that needs to happen around how much privilege we give people to our good, loving energy. You can decide what that means for you. I'm going to just share again from my own life. Like for what that means for me is less projects. I want to be paid more for doing less. And I am having zero guilt about saying that out loud, which is how I know that it's for sure something that needs to happen. I'm skilled at what I do. There is a supply and demand. There's a demand for what I am offering, what I create. There is support in what I do, regardless of how I do it. There are people who just genuinely support who I am, and I think the same goes for you, that regardless of what it is you decide for yourself or how you decide to do it, that there's just people who genuinely support you in being who you are, what you want to do, and where you want to go in life. And because of that, you have the ability to kind of draw a line in the sand and be like, I don't want to do things like that anymore. Or, yeah, I'm not really interested in those things. Like, I'm going to do this now. Or I don't align with those values. I don't want to show up like that anymore. I'd appreciate it if, you didn't think of me as that kind of a person, because I'm really trying to change and be like this now. It could be, for me, again, going back to myself, I am probably going to do a lot more faceless content. So things like these audio recordings, these readings. I'm thinking about my newsletter starting up again, getting more in tune with the astrology forecasts for my own self and sharing it with my fam here, because some of y'all really are gelling with what I create. So finding new ways to do things that preserve what has been over-consumed, because that's definitely what I'm feeling and where I'm coming from, of just this like overconsumption. So let me bring in the other point that I was channeling earlier today, because I'm driving around in a new town. I haven't lived here very long. I don't know many people. I'm still getting my bearings with the area. And I think I sort of stick out like a sore thumb, but that could just be being self-conscious, could just be my own anxieties, just feeling more awkward than I actually am, or feeling more out of place than I actually am. But I just feel like I stick out like a sore thumb. And then there's this part of me that's like, well, I do stick out like a sore thumb. I dress like Fran Fine from The Nanny. I have so much personality that like it is coming out of my nose. Like I wouldn't say I'm a sore thumb. I'm like a big flashy ring on a thumb. And there was a chapter in my life very similar to this chapter that I am finding myself in right now, where I had to get comfortable with being seen. Oh, hello, we are coming full circle. I had to get comfortable with being seen, putting myself out there, being bold, having eyes on me, and what that came with, bombshells, heyo, my girls who were bombshells, or in the B2B program totally are like, yeah, girl, this is a thing. I went through this. I did this in your program. You've already talked about this, but here, I'm going to bring it back to something new. Okay. My bombshells know that in order to really fully show up in life, wearing the leopard pants, wearing the big fuzzy coat, being the loudest laugh in the restaurant, feeling safe to just be authentic and be yourself, it comes with a lot of really fucking deep work that not many people are ready to do, which is understanding why we held ourselves back in the first place, right? So there's some like inner ownership that needs to show up. But then we have to remember that other people don't like it. Other people do not like seeing you live your most authentic truth. Other people do not like to see you doing all the things that they wish they could do, but just don't have the inner comfort or inner confidence to do for themselves. No, this doesn't make you better than them. It doesn't make you more anything than them. It just means that you've tackled different challenges than they have. And in this time and space in my life, I want to wear the fucking leopard pants, you know, but there might be a time in my life when I am tackling other problems and I couldn't give a rat's ass about leopard pants, right? So who's to say we're, you know, I'm not going to sister wound anybody here and say like, oh, because I did this work, I'm more of a person. No. I will say though, we can all have reflections onto one another, and this is sort of tying into the recording I just did before this of how we are all reflections of one another, and we get to choose who we want to reflect off of and everything. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes life chooses for us, and we go into the store. This is like a made up example, but it's based off of my life. We go into the store and we are wearing that outfit, right? It is not wearing us. We are wearing it, honey. And we feel good and we look good and we have the heads turning. No, we don't turn back to look because of course they're looking at us. I don't need to validate myself. I felt good in that moment. So who cares? Who cares who and how many people were looking, right? However, then there is that girl who is sitting at the table and she's with her friend, and the one girl is like, oh my God, could you believe that outfit? Like, could you be asking for any more attention, right? Because something inside of her feels like she needs to play small, or because she's not putting herself out there with her fashion and expression, that she's worthy of praise or recognition in her own right? Whatever the stories are that she's telling herself. And that feels so annoying and uncomfy because who is this person? You don't know me, right? All these defense mechanisms want to show up. All this ego wants to show up. And sometimes, you know, I'll find myself wanting to be like, you don't even understand how much work I put in to just being able to wear this outfit and just feel confident and love my body and all these different things. Like, you don't know me, which is true, but it's not my karma. It's not my place to care about the version that she has in her head because I'm never going to see this girl again. And then you have the friend right next to her who's not really saying much. She's not talking nasty. She's not casting any spells over you. She's not casting any projections, but she's looking at herself. She's looking down at her pants. She might be fixing up her posture. She might be adjusting her bra. I've seen it, you've probably seen it, and we've both done it. You know, when someone is really fucking working it and they carry themselves confidently and they are a little bit more out there and bold and okay with turning heads, and we are not in that place, and it is like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I don't feel good about myself at all. And it puts all this insecurity onto us. And I just need to say that, like, it was not that long ago that I was both of those girls, because I am a human being and I chose to do that work. I chose to explore those issues within me. I chose to reflect on my sister wounds because that was not how I wanted to show up. And it was the woman who I saw wearing leather pants, a freaking beautiful leather bowler hat, fringe top, and high heels, walking through your average day, I don't know, Dunkin' Donuts. That girl lit something up inside of me. She was a catalyst for me to really explore, like, why am I playing so small? I could wear that. Like, I want to wear something like that. So we need to go through those moments on both sides, right? To really be able to continue to say, like, it's a gift and it's a process of being able to put yourself out there and step out and show yourself and be seen. And my bombshells have done such beautiful work around all of that. But there is balance in everything, and balance is a huge thing that keeps coming up in my readings. Well, not even my readings, my channeling, like today, right here and right now. Balance, because I am now in a place where I'm like, I don't want to be seen anymore. And it's not that it's not that I want to hide. It's that I want to have more control over how much I'm being consumed, how much I'm being taken in, and in what kind of ways, because ultimately my online communities, I'm being consumed in ways that no longer feel like for my best interest. There was a time when maybe that validation was necessary for me to reconnect to feeling sensual or sexual or hot in my own skin or whatever. And there's all kinds of different ways that we can go about finding that validation. For me, I needed some external validation in different points in my life, absolutely. But I can tell you with certainty, looking back now, that it didn't come from the tons of comments from random strangers who are just scrolling through endless pictures of women. It came from my mentor, who works with some of the most talented women all over the planet, telling me, how skilled I am and how much potential that I have. It came from sharing my work with my partner and letting them see this side to me that I don't necessarily get to exhibit on an everyday basis, but it does exist within me. Sharing, this weird and wonderful, whimsical way of blending sexuality, art, and trauma and real emotions of intimacy and connection, that felt really purposeful. But it isn't aligning anymore. And it's okay for things to change. It's okay to realign because, as I was saying earlier, there are just people who want to support you, who want to just support the things you're doing, no matter how many times you pivot, no matter how many times you upgrade or reintroduce yourself as a whole new way of operating. They are just down to clown. They are just so about you. The way that you move, your aura, the way that you love them, the way that you talk, something about you. It just makes sense to them. And that is what you need to focus on, and remember that exists for you, but you have to be in complete alignment with yourself in order for those people to be in alignment with you, if that makes sense. Like, we can't just be bouncing around all these different attributes, not really knowing who we are, not really landing on something and claiming it as our own, not really holding a standard, holding a boundary. We're just kind of flimsy is like the best word that I can describe. And that makes it really hard for people to know you and see you and gravitate towards you for who you actually are. I'm not saying that it's impossible. People can absolutely fall in love with you and want to spend time with you through all of that, right? And I think I'm speaking to those types of connections, but it just feels so much more soul resonant when we find ourselves back into that alignment of who we really want to be in the world. The things that feel good and feel truthful to us. So for me, I'm definitely deciding that my very expressive, feral, warrior-esque vibe it's always going to be there. It's always going to exist. I just need to show it in new ways, which is probably going to be through things like these readings, these audio recordings, my vlogs. I'm really excited to start working and sharing all these things. But not so much in my body. It might not be so much for the visual side of things. Being seen for my internal world is going to happen, I think, for me when I take away the visual, which is a whole fucking new process. So maybe this is about being felt. Maybe this is about being heard. Maybe, I was going to say smelled, but I could do without that sense there. What is it? touch, feel, taste. Yeah, I'm good on that one too. So I think this is a new chapter of being heard and being felt, and I'm really excited to take on this venture for myself, share this process. And as you know, I always like to teach what I most have to learn myself. So I've been dabbling with some different coaching projects that I want to bring to life, because I think that is how I need to be consumed at the moment. My brain, my intellect, my soul, right? I'm really ecstatic for all the ways that I was able to be seen and appreciated and celebrated in the last year. In particular, my modeling business went through the roof, and I'm just so grateful. I'm really excited to see what I do in that path from here. I'm not just going to quit modeling by any means, but I am going to get creative and really decide, what does that even look like for me now in a way that feels purposeful and I can be excited about for myself. And understanding that there is a collective, 57 is another number. Be open to unexpected things. Be open to blessings coming in like the most wild, random places. I'm also getting a symbol that your emotions are significant. They have a lot of depth to them. Don't be afraid to dive below the surface. Don't go fishing has been a message of like, don't go fishing for symbols or signs. Don't go fishing for things, fishing for attention, fishing for, because that all comes out of a place of like a low vibrational place of fear or longing for love instead of doing things from love. Dive deep into your emotions. Dive deep into like a deep pool, that if you're really willing to go there, is like so beautiful. Like, I can't explain it. Another number, 37, showing up for this message. But yeah, be open to unexplicable blessings and things that just unravel in your favor, which don't even make sense, and allow that to be the truth, allow that to happen. Because again, there are people who genuinely want good things for you, who want to just support you, who just love you, love to see you excited. This could be family, but I'm also just seeing like a lot of just people you don't even know, which brings me to the final thing that was being channeled throughout my day today of people are watching you even if you don't see them, right? So that whole mindset of like obviously being seen, and it's okay that people are looking. Like, I'm wearing a wild outfit, I am strutting my stuff, like of course people are looking. But it's also this kind of feeling of like like eyes are on you, baby. Like there's a lot, like people are actually waiting to see what you're gonna create, what you're gonna do next. People might actually just be like taking you in, not in like a consuming your physical, which I think, that's just the name of the game. And being able to cleanse yourself of that, do what you need to do to cleanse your energy, protect your aura, protect your spirit, get into the ethereal realm for all of that. But back to what I was saying of just like, eyes are on you, whether you can even know that they're looking back. Like, people are surveying, people are watching, people are into what you are doing. Yes, it does feel like there is evil eye projections being cast onto you. There is like a collective gang stalking type of energy where this last little message here is collective manifestation. So we might have heard the phrase collective hysteria, right? Where you have a group of people who all like get attached to this hysteric idea, and they feed so much into it that they all believe it's true. They all believe that this is a really thing that's happening. Really, it's a delusion. It's a delusion. And you can actually, maybe this is a rabbit hole for you to go down if you're into this whole idea. I'm sure there's documentaries on a couple of these different collective hysterias, but there are records throughout history where groups of people are so much in his collective hysteria. It could be cult-like behavior. It could just be genuine delusionary beliefs around something that happened, even though it did not happen. I know that there was a collective hysteria in a hospital one time where all of these nurses started throwing up and fainting and passing out once they had this hospital guest who came in with like a very strange issue, like a strange condition. I think they died in a very unexpected, weird way, and all of the people in the hospital started having all these strange symptoms and were getting sent home from work and all this stuff. And no one was ever really able to explain what happened to this patient. It kind of goes down as like one of these very unexplained scientific historical moments in like medical science. But what they do say happened to the nurses was that they just had a collective hysteria. One nurse may have gotten sick, or maybe she got so anxious because they couldn't figure out what was going on with this patient, and she basically got so hysterical, had so many physical symptoms, that it put this idea into the other nurse's head that there was something going around. And there was multiple people who were showing physical symptoms, physical manifestations to an idea that was created in their head. Because lo and behold, there was nothing going on, there was nothing contagious, and all of them were fine. So that's an example of collective hysteria. It is a very real thing. It sounds so out there and far-fetched, but it just really goes down to human psychology and human dynamics and how the brain operates, right, interpersonally, to keep itself safe, to keep itself feeling like it's part of a community, because we are relational creatures. Our brain will work overtime to understand itself in relationship to other people, and it will do all kinds of shit if we're not kind of steering the ship. So with that being said, holistic, interesting, collective manifestation can also be a thing. Now, this is something that I've kind of been exploring for multiple years now, and this is actually the first time I'm really talking on it. But it is my belief that just like in hysteria, we can kind of create that same collective, I don't want to say delusion, but I mean, we're in the Matrix, right? Anything that we put enough thought into can become a thing. Much like the hysteria, if you put enough thought, like, I'm sick, oh my God, something's wrong, I'm sick, you can literally manifest that into your physical reality that very same day. 3:33 on the timestamp. Follow your intuition with this one. The same thing can happen with positive things, and you can decide which route you want to take. If you want to put out this kind of hysteric energy, put out all these negative things, you can absolutely do that, and wouldn't you know it, your brain will do everything in its power to make sure it comes true on a subconscious, unconscious level that we are not even aware of. That's crazy to me. I think that is so wild, and why I have done so much studying around the subconscious brain and how to reprogram your brain on a very deep level so that it's not operating against us. And look, I have ADHD, so for me, my brain is important. Like, it's important for me to work with what I got and for me to kind of set myself up for success. But it's also important for me to steer the ship, because sometimes my brain feels like it has a mind of its own. So for me to 44 on the timestamp, that could be significant to you. You might want to look into that. I'm probably going to look into that. But this steering of deciding, like, okay, I want these things to be believed about me. I want these things to be true about me. I want to show up in this way. I want to feel like this. If we put that kind of same energy that we could give to the hysterics, we can actually manifest in such a rapid and powerful way, especially when we include other people. A lot of people are kind of iffy about including others in their manifestation. Some people want to keep it a very private thing. They don't even show people their vision boards. To each their own. Do whatever feels good in your energy, and especially with your dynamics, you'll know if people are going to shit on your ideas or cast evil eyes onto your manifestation. That's like the most heartbreaking thing I could think of. So if you feel like you need to keep that private, absolutely, by all means. But there is a little added oomph and razzle dazzle to your manifestations if you're able to include other people, because they're believing these things to be true for you. And what I love about manifesting with others is that when you start talking things out loud, that becomes an audible vibration, and that just contributes to whatever energy you're trying to call in, or something that you want to take shape in your life. So you can start talking it into existence. But not only that, you'll start talking to somebody and they'll be like, oh, you want to do this thing? I know somebody who does that and they want to do this. And things just start unraveling and start unfolding. And there's a message in that too. Spirit is nudging me to say, like, yes, so now go talk on this. Like, now that you know what you need to know, or you have the idea or whatever, talk on it, like speak on it and put it into motion and get it into action. So that's a huge message for me. It might be also important for you. But just consider that when you're connecting with others right now, as you have the evil eye energy around you, people might be casting projections. Start allowing yourself to be consumed in positive lights, in positive ways, by positive people who are going to cast other projections over that, right? I love my spiritual crew. I love my high vibrational sensitive babes, because they'll pick up on other people's stuff around me. They'll pick up and be like, oh, somebody's got an evil eye on you. Like, and they will use their magic to counteract that, which is beautiful. Like, that is like the ultimate protection. That is like the ultimate prayer, when you have somebody else putting this energy into shielding what is good and what is pure about you. Which is my final message here that just came through from Spirit again, is that you do have people in other realms, whether this is spirit guides, highest self, or your passed on loved ones. There are just etheric entities around you that are with you, that really are looking after you and your path. They're looking after your soul and your purpose. I have this feeling like your soul is tired and your soul is good hearted and pure at nature, but it's very tired and it's very kind of battered, and your spirit team around you, these etheric entities, are very much tired for you and kind of want to see that stop, and they want to they want to put a circle around you of like love and connection and balance and flow, for sure. So just I'm gonna leave that with that. I'm gonna leave this audio recording. This one got kind of long, of just you have things that want the best for you. This is not gonna all fall on your shoulders. Discerning what and how you want to be consumed or whatever, know that you are also being watched over, as long as you're making choices that are aligned with all of the intuitive nudges you're being given, because 333 showed up a couple times, 57 a couple times, 27 a couple times, 37 a couple times in this reading. Those are all really beautiful numbers to look into and all have different meanings. But ultimately, there's just this notion that like you are on a higher path. You are being intuitively guided. So as long as you are trusting in that and using that guidance system, you know, you can't really be knocked too far off of your path. So, ooh. Animal medicine showing up right now. Okay, that's all I have for you. I'm sending you lots of love. I would work my magic over you, but I need to work magic over myself before I try to do anything else for others. But I am going to pray that you are protected. I'm going to pray that others who are trying to sink their teeth into you right now and like really latch on to you, 37 on the timestamp, ease their grip. I pray that they find some kind of peace and calmness into their internal world. They can find some of their self-validation and self-love so that they don't need to be gnawing onto you so much. I can see how tired, and I can see how ready you are for a miracle, for something to change for the better. So I am giving you so much love, and I will talk to you soon.